Hi students, this is Mr. Bob. First, just so you know, you'll see my dog running in the background and she might even bark a little bit. Just ignore her. Her name is Dobby. So I want to give you the setup for the experiment you're going to be looking at today, the investigation. So we've been studying the motion of objects. The fancy word for that is kinematics. And I want you to think about this big question. How can we use those ideas, the ideas of motion, the tools we've been using, to look at how does a textbook, an old textbook of mine, move when I raise it up to about 2 meters above the ground in my backyard, and then I just release it, let my hands go, and observe what happens. So we know it'll fall, but the question is, how will it fall, and what kind of motion, again, using the concepts we've been studying, can we use to describe it? What sort of tools can we use to qualitatively and quantitatively describe it? Okay, to help us with that, we're going to use this little probeware device. It's a wonderful thing called the Go Motion Detector. I think most of you have used it before. What it does is it sends out sound waves from this little basic circular spot here. And those sound waves, when they bounce off of objects, they send back a readout to the device, or the device basically interprets based on how quickly the signal comes back where the object is. And this thing can really very closely track the motion of an object. In our case, in our setting, it's going to be tracking the motion of this textbook as it falls to the ground, taking a position of it 20 times a second, so 20 samples every second. So that's going to give us a very detailed picture of what's going on in the very short time that the book takes to fall from 2 meters to the ground. It'll be enough for you to see some interesting things. And so what I want you to do is watch this video of me collecting the data a few times. You're going to see it once, just me dropping the book with the detector up above it. The detector's going to be here, the book's going to be here, and it's going to fall. And then the second time, I'm going to show you by a split screen, a side-by-side comparison of what goes on in the data collection software, which is called Vernier Graphical Analysis. And then from there, you'll get further instructions about what to do, okay? Enjoy the show, so to speak. Okay, so now we're going to collect the data. I'm going to hit collect. The motion detector is collecting data. Position the book. 3, 2, 1. Position the book. 3, 2, 1. So students, I want to make sure you have a pretty good understanding of what you observed there in that video. So here is a graph that you saw that Vernier Graphical Analysis created for the motion of the book as it traveled downwards. First, you want to make sure you understand the coordinate system. So if the motion detector is my hand, it's up here high, okay? The coordinate system, the 0 point, is at the motion detector. And then the detector has been defined to think that down, motion away from it down towards the ground is positive, okay? That's the important point for number one. So what do we have here? If we look at this graph, notice at the start, I'm holding the book. Just let's say this is the book. I'm holding it close to the motion detector. Say my phone is the book. So you can see the distance there, the gap there is quite limited. It's less than 25 centimeters. Then what happens? I release the book and it starts traveling downward. And then finally up here, you can see what happens is, what is that flat spot right there? That is the book hitting the ground and just staying on the ground. And the motion detector is just measuring the distance to the ground. So the part we're interested in, the part that you're going to analyze using the spreadsheet tools and the concepts we've been studying, is this part in the middle here, when the book is in the air. And notice it's a small amount of time. But the wonderful thing about this is this instrument is so sophisticated, it can take, remember, that 20 samples per second. And so if you look over here, this is the data. It's basically taking a position of the book, measuring a position of the book every 0.05 seconds. And so in your trial that your group is going to analyze, that you're going to analyze individually with the help of your group, is a certain number of data points. Usually there's at least 7, and in some cases maybe as many as 13 or 14 data points where the book was actually in the air. So this is the data that you're analyzing for your specific trial. Thanks.